Obviously, coming into year 3, it started year 2. I would say it was a lot different than the tone coming into year 3, just given the way last year ended. How do you feel just as a coach coming into year 3? Like, how different is it than the last summer, I guess? You had the proof of concept from the first year, but
yeah, I mean, probably a lot more optimistic in most ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the program continues to grow. We continue to make improvements. I mean, the notion on the outside is rarely the same notion on the inside. I mean, that's just the notion on the outside always is going to like fluctuate so drastically with what happened in your previous game or what happened this and that, and like a lot of times that's just not reality. It's not. I mean, there's just a climb that's happening right now. I think in a lot of ways we've positioned ourselves certainly better than what we were in year 1 and better than what we were in year 2, and now we've got to go take advantage of it. Obviously, a lot of things have changed. Just about everything has changed, and but it's been fun. It's been fun to see the progress defensively, the progress on the facilities, the progress in our relationship with the administration, with Jen and all the crew that she's brought in, which has been great. Progress on, the roster, progress on NIL. I mean, there's not any part of this that we're not making progress on. And I'm not the oldest coach. I haven't seen it all, but I've been through this enough with these blue bloods to know that the outside's always going to be sensationalized one way or another. But if you have a plan and you stick to it and you stay steady, then and you know that you're making progress in the key areas that you have to do it, that eventually it's going to be what we want it to be, and that's what we're doing right now.
Lincoln, you mentioned that plan, and obviously you see kind of some of the recruiting success that programs like Oregon, Ohio State have had, and the strength of their collectives, what they're doing with NIL right now. What is kind of the long-term vision and plan for USC to be able to compete with the top of the Big Ten Conference when you look at the success that other programs are kind of having around the board?
Yeah, well, we are at the top of the Big Ten Conference. I mean, we're at the top of any conference. I don't ever look at ourselves below anybody, and I never will. Listen, 2 years ago, look where Ohio State and Oregon were 2 years ago. Look what they took over. Look what we took over. I mean, it takes time. I'm not a magician. I can't wave a magic wand and everything just be perfect right away. But find one area that we had made progress. So this thing's got momentum. It's coming. Nothing's going to stop it. That's fine. They started at a different point. We'll see where it ends up.
Coach, going into after spring, you said the spring transfer portal is going to be something we're going to focus on key positions. What were some of the challenges that maybe popped up that you weren't aware of that arose coming out of that transfer portal? Filling some needs that you're looking for?
Well, the thing about both of them, and maybe the spring one more than anything, is you don't know what's going to be in there. I mean, it's been. I think the fall one has been a little bit more predictable, right? That like after guys' seasons, more people are going to move. You have a little bit more of a confidence of maybe you don't know specifically, but you have a decent feel of like generally what's going to be in there. Spring. That's a new deal, right? And so I think honestly, a lot of the talent level in there in the spring was maybe even a little bit less than what it was the year before. That didn't feel as much like high quality movement. And I think at that point, I think you're really conscious about, teams already started to be formed. And you got to be really conscious, I think, of bringing somebody in that late that you're worried about how are they going to fit in the locker room and within the culture and what you're trying to build. And we ran into a couple of players that we felt like, had the talent to be able to help us, but that didn't quite. That gave us some reservations on the other part of it. And so, excited about the guys that we added. We're not completely done yet, but excited about the guys that we added. I think we. The response so far of those guys in our off season and the way they've integrated themselves into the team has been very positive.
We haven't talked to you since the House settlement. What are your thoughts just in general on revenue sharing and how that changes your job and changes kind of the future, what you do with players?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a positive. I do. I mean, there's so much around it that's not defined yet. And so
Sure.
It's hard to give an opinion completely on what you don't, we don't know We don't know a lot of it. We don't know contract structure. We don't obviously even know the full dollar amount. Although we've all got a pretty we've all got our own guesses or opinions of where it's going to be, and we certainly already started planning for that. We don't know the role of collectives going forward. I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think in theory it's going to be a positive thing for the game, certainly from where it stands right now. But there's a lot of work to be done to take that theory and put it into action.
What's it like in the short term when you walk into the Big Ten and Oregon and Ohio State are pushing those 7-figure NIL collective budgets?
I don't know. I think I just answered it. I mean, our collective is probably the most improved collective in the country. It continues to improve. I'm also not too concerned about what everybody else is doing.
Awesome. Thanks,
Great.
everybody.
All right. Thanks,
All right.